Hello and welcome back to Suspended Animation. I am your host, Dennis Patholkis, and this is Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 3. No title as of yet because that's just the way they've been doing it this season. They haven't released any of the titles for anything until pretty much, I think it's after the West Coast finishes airing there, and I think that's when they start releasing it. I normally don't see it until the next day, and that's when I update the title on that. But wow, holy crap! That's all I can say. There was a big battle tonight. Hey, everybody in the chat, thank you for joining. And as you see right above me here, above my shoulder here, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episode. If you haven't watched the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. And some good stuff, man. That's all I can say. We are in the final season. We don't have that many episodes, of course. So what is it? We have 8 episodes, I believe is what it is. So from here on out, they're all an hour and a half long. So this was the 80-minute version. Now we go 90 minutes after this. 3 left. Excuse me. Thank you, Sketchy Trails. 3 left. There were 6. I couldn't remember if it was 6 or 8. So yeah, I mean, they are going to be burning through these things. So let's just get started. Everyone's getting ready for war, of course. Sam is given some dragon glass knives, and he's just standing there kind of speechless, kind of petrified. And he's told, get going, man, get moving. So we start following him, and he's going through the line, and we start seeing everybody setting up the defenses, things like that. We go over to Tyrion, and we see him getting some supplies because he's going down to the crypt, as he's been told he is the brains. He can't go out and go and fight because he's needed for afterwards, after everything happens here. So Bran, in the meantime, is being wheeled out with Theon and his guys because they're going out to be bait for the Night King, of course. And we see the Hound making his way up to the front as well. And, he kind of pushes his way up there as he normally does. And Sam takes his place besides Edison, who says, well, what the hell took you so long? As we're going through everybody here and cutting through. John and Danny have, of course, taken the dragon mounts, and they've gone over to the hilltop looking over the entire battlefield so they can see what's going on, because they don't want to be too close to the action, because they don't want to scare the Night King away, because they want to draw him out with Bran, so they can actually kill him and end all of this. So the Red Woman, she kind of rides out, and she comes to Jorah, who's sitting in the front of the line. Jorah is with the Dothraki, of course, leading them, and she tells them, do you speak their tongue? And he says, yes. She says, tell them to raise their swords. So they all raise their swords. She grabs onto the nearest one and does a little incantation there, and all their swords lights up, which was really kind of cool. You see the entire field in the front there, just everybody's swords just kind of ignite on fire. And so they all kind of get hyped up by this, of course. And then she rides past them and goes to past Grey Worm and says something to him, and he answers back. And she rides into Winterfell, and they, of course, let her in. And Davos goes to meet her, and she says, you don't need to execute me. I'll be dead before the dawn, is what she tells him. So, yeah, I mean, because he still wants to kill her, of course. He's, he's really got that at that point. So the Dothraki and Jorah go riding out to go and meet the White Walkers, because all we just see is blackness out there, and you just see this trail of lights going out there. And yeah, exactly, Felipe Diaz, we'll get to that too in a minute. So they go riding out into the darkness, and they run into a wave of the dead, basically, and we just start seeing from a distance the other front of the line, watching these lights winking out one by one, and then just finally all of them out in the distance kind of all wink out. And then we start seeing a lone horse running back towards them. And then we see some guys, some Dothraki running back. And then we see Jorah riding his horse, but kind of, pretty beaten up there. And he's, hanging off his horse there, and he comes riding back. And so shit has gone down as they say out there, out in the wilderness. And it's pretty bad. So we see the army of the dead come running in like a gigantic wave, and they basically just crush against that front line. I mean, just like a literal wave, just pour over them. And people are fighting, and then we see Danny and John are flying in with the dragons, are just hosing down as much as they can with the dead, with the dragons, and they're just laying down dragon fire. And we see them circle around. They're trying to get back behind the lines to see where the Night King is. And as they're looking at the back lines, all of a sudden this gigantic ice cloud comes in and just blows them off course. And they can't see shit. They're basically just flying blind at this point. So Arya, up on top of the castle wall, she tells Sansa, she gives her a knife and says, "Get down to the crypt. You need to go down there." And she goes, "Well, what do I do with this?" And I love Arya says, "The pointy end goes into the, into the person, basically, is what you do. Put the pointy end into them." So yeah. Cersei is the real villain. Exactly, Joker. Exactly. And we see Sam, as he gets knocked down. He's just about to get killed by one of the dead when Edison Ghost saves his ass. And then, of course, he gets ghosted. I sorry, I had to save that one. But yeah, he gets killed. And and so Sam just runs. Sam runs at that point because he comes face to face with the walker there and just starts running at that point. In the meantime, Sansa goes down and she enters the crypt. She sees Tyrion. She's looking at everybody and she sees Tyrion. And he, of course, has a wine sack and takes a big swig off of his wine sack and walks away from her. So John and Danny are still up there. They're battling the wind as much as possible. And as the ground forces are falling back and entering the gates, the Unsullied are protecting the retreat. And we see Bran sitting underneath the tree, of course, waiting with Theon and his guys. Theon, and his guys. Arya, of course, saves the Hound as he's running back towards the gate. She used the flaming arrow and gets one of the dead that's almost on top of his ass. And we see Grey Worm gives the signal to light the trenches. So Davos, of course, gives the signal, but Danny and John can't see anything because they're up in this cloud and they realize they can't see shit. So they're trying to light it with arrows, flaming arrows. Nothing's working. Everything's going out because of the wind. So the Red Woman comes back out again, and she grabs onto one of the posts that's sitting inside the trench and starts trying to recite the incantation. She's trying and trying and trying. And at the very last second, just when the dead are just about to cross over and eat her face, it goes up. Watching as you speak. Oh, is that what you're doing right now, Joker? That's kind of a weird thing. I know they're replaying it right now. So you didn't get your notification. Wow, I put this thing on back around like 5:30. That's kind of weird. That didn't give you any notification. Oh my God. So yeah, they finally light up the trench, and then we see Danny sees this, of course, too, and she comes down and lights up another end of the trench and also takes out some of the dead as well. And the dead stop at the fire line. The few of them that were inside the trench have ignited and everything, but they've all stopped at the fire line. Tyrion, of course, he's down in the crypt and he's saying that they need to do something, and they're like, what can we do from down here? Because I don't know, something, we need to do something. And Sansa, mentions that out of all the men that he was the best, and he goes, "Wow, that's that's a real shame." And she starts laughing, and she goes, "Yeah, but it would never work between us now," kind of thing. Especially with the daughter of dragons, is the mother of dragons, is what she says. It just would never work. Exactly. And then, of course, Msandrel uses this time to remind everyone that they would all be dead right now if it wasn't for Dany and her dragons anyway. So they should all rejoice and be happy about that. Which is like, wow, really? Come on. Time and place, lady. Time and place. So, excuse me here. I got all my notes. So Theon, of course, apologizes to Bran, and Bran accepts his apology, and then he says he has to go now. And Theon's like, "What? and we see Bran's eyes turn white. And of course, he goes up with all the ravens there, and he's flying with the Night King. And we see the Night King on top of his mount, on top of the dragon. And he is starting to command the dead. And we see he's commanding the dead to start walking into the flames over the fire trench. And they're doing it in coordinated bunches. So they're basically creating a bridge of dead bodies so that the dead can cross. And that's what they start doing. They start crossing and making their way to the wall. So everyone's like, man the gate, man the towers, man the walls. So everyone's running up there and they're trying to do that. And Jon sees the Night King, and he and his dragon go after him. They go flying after him. The Hound, in the meantime, is just petrified with fear because of all the shit that he just went through out in the front line. He's inside and he's hiding out as the dead are, climbing up over the wall and climbing in. And Beric is trying to get him to, start moving his ass. And he's like, fuck you, we're all going to die. You know what? The dead, you can't beat death. That's nothing you can do. So, we're basically screwed. In the meantime, Arya she's come out fighting as well. And she's taken down the dead up on the wall with her weapon. And we see Lyanna, of course, she's at the front gate, and the front gate smashes open with an undead giant who comes through, throws her to the side, and just starts wiping the crap out of the army that's inside the courtyard there. And Arya comes sliding down off the top of the wall, and Beric sees her, and he uses her, to get the Hound to move his ass. And he's like, she's not afraid of the dead. Of course, she's fighting him. What the hell? And that kind of lights the fire underneath the Hound's ass, and he goes after Arya because she goes through a doorway. In the meantime, Lyanna, who's kind of half crushed there, the little girl that she is, comes running towards the giant and yelling at him, and she's got her axe in her hand, and she's running at it, and it picks her up and starts crushing her, and it's bringing her towards its mouth, and she stabs it in the eye with her last dying breath and takes down a fucking giant. That was actually a really cool scene. I mean, just a very, very cool scene in that little part. So, excuse me. Of course, we have Dany and Jon fighting the Night Giant, or the Night King, the Night Giant, the Night King and his dragon up in the air. And I mean, it's just we see the dragons just kind of clawing at each other, and they're really kind of going at it. And we see Arya, she retreats into the library, and the dead have followed her as well. And so she's sneaking around trying to get past them, and she's hiding underneath tables and things like that. And she finally creates a little distraction, throws a book in one direction, goes in the other direction, gets out the door and closes the door as softly as she can. When out through the other door, the dead just kind of burst in. Lyanna, the really young leader, it was... Yes. Sorry, I probably mispronounced it. Lyanna. Yeah. It's kind of hard to pronounce some of the names. Sorry about that. But yeah, the bear is, she's the little one that she is. Yeah, she did go out like a badass. She really did. So, of course, Arya, who's inside the hallway there, the door bursts through one side. She goes running because then the door to the library bursts open, and all the dead are following, just running down the hallway, chasing her. And she's trying to make her way as fast as she can down the hallway. The people in the crypt, in the meantime, start hearing noises upstairs. And then they start hearing banging on the door and people screaming to be let in. And all of a sudden it ends, of course. They scream and it dies out. So, in the meantime, the Hound and Beric are kind of going through the halls. They're going very slowly, very quietly, and they see when the doors burst open, burst down actually, with Arya with a undead on top of her, and Beric saves her. The Hound grabs her, kind of throws her down, and we see Beric. He's getting stabbed quite a bit, and he actually he's holding onto the walls, like, blocking the dead as they're stabbing him. And the Hound is taking out some dead as well. And They grab Beric and they finally make it into a room with a steel door, and they close it and lock it up. And Beric, of course, dies. And inside the room is the Red Woman, who says that Beric, he lived long enough to do what he was supposed to do, that he served his purpose. God had let him live long enough to serve his purpose, is what it was, and it was to save her. And I like how she says, what do we do? What do we say to the god of death? And Arya says, not today. So the dead, of course, come for Bran and Theon. And his men defend him, of course. So Theon and his men are just, using arrows and shooting as many as possible, trying to take out as many dead as possible. And we see the Night King's dragon attacks the castle, and Jon and his dragon attack them, and they're just going at it, and they're clawing at each other and things like that. And the Night King actually is trying to take a swipe at Jon, and we end up getting the Night King knocked off of his dragon, and it goes down. And Jon and his dragon gets damaged pretty bad, and they go down, they crash land. Jon gets thrown from the dragon, and he starts fighting, we see Jon get up, of course, off the ground there, and Dany sees the Night King standing there on the ground, and at point blank range, she has her dragon. She gives the order to fire, and the dragon hits him with dragon breath and just like hoses him down. And he just stands there like nothing, no big deal. Nothing's going to hurt him at that point. And that's when Jon comes, in with his sword. He pulls his sword and runs towards the Night King as well. And the Night King turns and looks at him and raises his arms and raises the dead all around Jon and all around Winterfell and also inside the crypt as well. So yeah, he just starts raising the dead all over again and just starts this fight all over again from the beginning. And it's like, holy fuck balls at this point, yeah, they really should have played a little more defensive than being accurate. There's a lot of mistakes made. I'll say that. Looking at it from a military point of view, yes. So yeah, and then we see the generals, the Night King's generals, entering the castle. So their eyes glowing with their ice swords, and they're walking towards the castle and going inside. And I don't know what it is about these dead, if they've got superpowers or what, but they're busting through stones and stuff like that in the crypts. They're busting through concrete, and they start attacking the people down there and eating them. And we see Theon and his men, they keep fighting, and Jon is holding back the dead as much as is possible. And he's surrounded at one point and just about to go down, and Dany comes above him and just fries the dead that are in front of him and saves his ass. Yeah. And she gets her dragon actually gets swarmed by the dead as well and gets taken down. She gets knocked off of her dragon, and she's just about to get taken down by one of the dead when Jorah comes in and saves her ass. Yeah. So Jon, in the meantime, has made his way towards the castle. He's been running into he's running to Winterfell, and as he's making his way in, he's trying to get to Bran. He's seen various people being surrounded by the dead. So he sees Sam is covered. Basically, Sam's not moving. He's just laying there kind of crying. Brienne is up against the wall. Pretty much everyone's got their back against the wall, and they're just fighting swarms of the dead at this point. And he makes his way through to an iron gate. He locks it down and keeps the dead at bay, and he's trying to make his way towards Bran. And of course, the Night King's dragon comes down into the courtyard and just starts hosing down fire and keeps him from getting to where he needs to go. Theon, in the meantime, runs out of arrows and starts fighting by hand. And Jorah and Dany are fighting out in the open. They're basically just, they have swords and they're fighting back to back. Sansa and Tyrion are, of course, hiding in the crypt behind one of the crypts there. And they are scared. They have nothing else to do. They can hear the screams. Everybody that, we see people running back and forth, getting eaten, and they hold hands, and he kisses her hand, and that's pretty much all he can do at this point. And he goes, of course, at one point, and he finds other survivors inside the crypt, but there's nothing he can really do. They don't have any weapons. Well, Sansa does have a weapon, but nothing's going on. It was kind of a weird thing. I don't know why. I mean, Tyrion, we saw him fight. We know he can fight. Why didn't he have a weapon? Why, or multiple weapons? And why wasn't he fighting down there? I mean, you knew that at some point in time they were going to break through. So why not have weapons with you down there? So, yeah, that's one of the things I was kind of wondering about on that. So finally, we see that the Night King approaching Bran, and Theon is the only one that's left out of his men. All his men are dead. He's cut down a whole horde of dead people, but they've all stopped at the perimeter. And we see the Night King off to the side there as well. And Theon's got his spear. That's all he's got left. And Bran comes out of his fugue state there and tells Theon he's a good man, and he thanks him. And Theon grabs his spear and makes a run at the Night King, who just kind of dodges it, snaps his spear in half, and then stabs Theon right in the, through and through, and just leaves him to die. And then starts walking towards Bran at that point. So Jon keeps trying to get, to Bran, but the Night King's dragon keeps hosing down fire, and he has to keep running back and getting away from it. Jorah gets stabbed pretty much multiple times, but he keeps going. He's trying to, basically hold the dead back from getting to Dany at this point. And we see the Night King approach Bran, and the two stare at each other. And just as the Night King is reaching back to grab his sword, Arya just pops out of nowhere and jumps right at the Night King's back, and he turns and grabs her in midair. He catches her by the throat, and her dagger in her hand drops. She drops it, and she catches it with the other hand that's down below and stabs him in the stomach. And he shatters, turns to ice, and just shatters. And then we start seeing the dragon. Jon at this point had gotten pissed off, and he was just facing down the dragon. He was getting ready to die. That we see the dragon shatter, and then we start seeing the knights, the generals of the Night King, shatter, and then all the army of the dead shatter as well. And then it just was kind of epic, quite honestly. And of course, Jorah dies in Dany's arms of all the wounds that he has. And we see the Hound and the Red Woman emerge from the castle from Winterfell, and she goes walking out towards the snow, and we see her stripping off clothing as she's doing this. And then she pulls off her amulet too, and Davos sees this as well. He knows what the amulet does. It's her protective amulet. And as she's walking towards the sunrise, we see her start turning old, and then she dies into the snow. And that's how it ends. So, yeah, I mean, granted, I haven't read the books. Sorry, I'm trying to get this thing out of my way. There we go. I haven't read the books. I don't know, how close it is or how far it is from the books. I really don't care. I'm actually just looking at the series, quite honestly. And I liked it. Yes, it was. Was it fast? Yes, it was. It's a wrap up to this season. And quite honestly, that's the way a lot of the stuff has been going lately. When they were wrapping up a season and they finally get their final way out, I guess you could say. So, and yes, I agree. I think Joe Greer, you said it, that the Night King is not the real bad guy. It's actually Cersei. Cersei is the big bad. And this is just kind of, something that they needed to get through in order to get to Cersei at this point. Penn says it veered off completely off book starting season 4, I think. So where are we going here? Let me go up a little bit into the chat. Felipe Diaz says, yeah, I was 90% of the episode saying I can't see shit. I have a big 65-inch big screen TV, and I was perfectly fine with it. So if you were trying to watch it on a computer, I could see how you wouldn't have seen shit at all. So 2 or 1 dragon still alive? That's a good question. We don't know. Because Danny's dragon was getting attacked. It was covered with dead when it took off into the sky, but we don't know if it survived or not. And I don't know if John's dragon survived when it crash landed. Well, we actually did see her dragon come back. That's right. We did see her dragon come back. And when she was cradling Jorah when he died. So that one was still alive, but we don't know if the other one is or not. For sure. Anyway. Felipe Diaz says Bran acted like he knew nothing was going to happen to him. Yeah, exactly. That was actually kind of cool. He just was sitting there just staring at him. And yeah, I mean, how the Night King, knew that she was coming from behind him, that was pretty damn epic. Sketchy Trail said, did Bran know what was going to happen? Could he in fact see the future? That's a good question. I guess we'll find out next episode. Felipe Diaz says, final boss, the woman with the glass of wine as her best weapon. I think it's actually her lies that are her best weapon, quite honestly, Felipe. Watching as you speak. That's okay. Viking Bitch says, the only time I could see anything is when they were on fire, and then there was the mist. Yeah, that's why I don't watch these things. I learned that early on, especially with Titans. Titans pissed me off. DC Universe's Titans. You can't see shit on a computer screen, and I mean, you can't see anything. It's actually made to be seen on. It's actually shot as a movie, really. So it's actually supposed to be on a TV or larger, like a large TV, and that's the way this is shot too. These are shot as movies. They are not normalizing it for computers or phones. I mean, I know a lot of people are watching on computers and phones. That's not the way to watch these, unfortunately. So, Randy 2222 says Arya wore a walker face, so not to get noticed and do the Wolverine lounge attack. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering how she had to have been wearing a walker face in order to get out there. Viking Bitch says, I think this episode should have been shorter. At one point, I was feeling like it was pointless and unwinnable war until the last 5 minutes. Actually, I kind of felt it was a good length because, I mean, you saw a whole bunch of hopelessness as it was. And then when the Night King, when he raises his arms up and just starts the battle all over again, I was like, yeah, because I kind of knew that was going to happen at some point, that he was just going to raise up all the dead and just have a new army again. And I was waiting for it. And when it happened, I was like, okay, yeah, this is exactly what I was waiting for. And just to have people go, fuck, man, we've been fighting for a while now. So, yeah. Pen Farm Girl says, yep, Little Bear and Theon both got to go out like badasses. Yeah. And Ninja Arya was a badass too. Yeah, she was. Simba Trey says, can't believe all the hype for this was disappointing episode. Like, really, Night King and all army are gone just like that. Smack my head. Okay. Well, to each their own. Felipe Diaz says the panic attacks on Grey Worm and the Hound were. I don't think a Grey Worm had panic attack. He was actually trying to figure out when to do something, and he didn't want to lose his army that was there, and it was kind of like sacrifice them or give them enough time to come back. And that was what it was. That was what his indecision was, because he was now in charge. It was like the first time he was really in charge of everything, of what he was supposed to do, and he had to make that decision, whereas Dany was making that decision most of the time. She would tell him when to attack, when to pull back. So I don't think that was a panic attack on his part. It was more of him wanting to save his army, but at the same time he had to sacrifice them. The Hound, on the other hand, I don't understand what was going on with that. That was weird. Yeah. I mean, other than him saying, death is inevitable, why in the hell are we fighting this? But at the same time, he's not just running out and getting killed. So Viking bitch says, what the hell was up with Missandra? She commits suicide? Why? What was the point? Yeah. I don't know. Viking bitch said, no, excuse me. Randy2222 says, yeah, maybe she has no more purpose. Yeah. Well, I think she had said early on, the red one said that the reason why she had to die at dawn was that was part of the deal with her god, the god of light, was that once the Night King was done, she was done, and that was her purpose. So, let's see here. Viking bitch says, yeah, we all knew he was going to raise the dead. Yeah. Randy says, please no spoilers for episode 4, please. Yeah, I don't think anyone knows what's going to go on in episode 4. They've been very, very tight about this. Not even releasing the titles. I mean, hell, we still don't have the title for this one yet. So let's see what else I'm missing here. Viking bitch says, not all of us have a TV the size of a wall. It's not the size of a wall. It's actually smaller. I need to get a bigger one. It's not even 4K either. I mean, God, it's only 1080p. Viking bitch, I didn't see what happened to Ghost. I assume he's dead. Yeah, he died saving Sam. So he saved Sam, immediately got stabbed, and then Sam saw the dead that killed him right behind him, which screamed at him, and he ran. So Sketchy Trail says, hard to do a TV series based on book series that's not complete, open to interpretation. Well, yeah, that's what happens when you have the author of the book that keeps dragging his damn heels on it because he wants to do, wild cards, his other series that really isn't all that good. Yeah, that's all I can say. I mean, otherwise we would have been waiting. What? He still hasn't really finished anything. So they would still be waiting for an ending to this thing. Cywar Mobius, books cover up to season 5. Season 6, 7, and 8 are based on some of the main story points from George Martin with customization from the current producers. Okay. Chandon Jaw, all the fucking build up in 8 seasons, and the Night King died in like 10 seconds. I kind of had a feeling that people were going to be pissed off that the Night King died as quickly as he did. But again, we only have 3 episodes left, and we've got to fight Cersei. And we also have to deal with who's going to get the Iron Throne at this point, too. Because Jon is still alive, and he is a rightful heir to the Iron Throne. So, Cywar Mobius, Grey Worm was looking how to ignite the fire. Yeah, he was. Yeah. Exactly. Matsuts Lewandowski, sorry if I murdered your name. How did it end? Because couldn't watch it, laugh out loud, and don't know how it ended up. It ended up with the Night King getting knifed by Arya. That's right. She made a jump, like a little Wolverine jump at him. He grabbed her in midair by the throat, and then she stabbed him in the stomach, and that was it. Yeah, the Night King is dead. Now comes the Night Queen, as Slurmy Scott says. That's pretty funny. Randy2222 says Hound was stunned because of fire fear. Sketchy Trails, Danny turned out to be a much better fighter than Jon. Yes, she did, actually. Jon got his ass kind of handed to him for the most part. But yeah, I don't know. Symmetry says, wish I liked this episode more. Guess I'll have to wait for George R.R. Martin to finish up his books to get a quality and satisfying ending. Battle with the Dead. Yeah, hopefully if he ends it, because who knows if he will or not. Zyla, did anyone struggle to see? Yeah, everyone keeps saying how dark the episode was. Cywar Mobius, contrast was important to enjoy this episode. OLED TV owners could watch every single detail. I don't have an OLED TV, Cywar, but I was able to see it. I couldn't see details, I guess you could say, but I could make out what was going on. So there was a lot of action going on. It wasn't confusing to me. I could see who was fighting who and things like that, and I saw people surrounded. So yeah, it was. Yeah. Raj Shakuri says, "How did the Night King not kill Jon? He was completely surrounded. Because Dany came down with the dragon and hosed down the dead that were around Jon. She basically saved his ass. She saved his ass a couple times, actually. Is Rhaegon dead? Is Grey Worm dead? Justine asks. That's a good question. I don't know for sure. Oh, I don't even know if Samuel is dead. He was covered in the dead, but he was still crying. And then, I mean, we were seeing Brienne up against the wall, and it looked like she was getting bit, but I don't know exactly if that was the case or not. And yeah, I mean, it looked like a lot of people were going down. But I think a lot of the main characters lived. Jon is fireproof too. Yeah, it was kind of funny. I don't know how the fire just kind of stopped just short of him. It didn't travel. Randy, I agree with you on that. He was a little bit. Yes, he's a Targaryen, is what Viking Bitch says. That's true. He could be. Why was Bran whirling? That's a good question. I don't know what the hell Bran was doing. That was if he was trying to impart the knowledge off to somebody else at the time, or if he was communicating. I mean, we got to see the dire wolves too, go into the battle with the Dothraki. We don't know what happened to them. At least we saw one of the dire wolves, and so who knows? Matsuts Lewandowski says, so is that all? Haha, Night King is dead. What do you expect next? Did Arya kill him with dragon glass or Valerian steel? I think it was Valerian steel from what it looked like. I didn't see dragon glass because when that dropped down, it was steel. It wasn't a dragon glass knife. So that's the one thing I had a question of too. When she stabbed him, I was like, well, wait a minute, that's not dragon glass. What did she use? And I was like, was that a special dagger? Was it, taken from the Sumerian texts or something like that? Or what was that? Yeah, it does look like Brienne and Jaime both lived. Simba says the best part was Lyanna stabbing the giant's eye while dying. Yeah, that was actually an awesome scene, man. I wasn't expecting that. When she pulls out the dragon glass dagger and just stabs that giant in the eye, and she just, she gets that last little out as she does it. I was like, yeah, that's actually badass right there. That was actually a really good scene. So people keep asking about Ghost. No, he's dead. Ghost is ghosted. Valerian Steel. Thank you, Manuel Gupta. Yes. Felipe Diaz says yes. What is Bran doing? He is calling the Eagles from the Lord of the Rings to come help. Yeah, they're telling him, fuck off. We're not helping you, man. We didn't help, anybody else out. We're not helping you either. Littlefinger's blade. That's what it was. Thank you, Manuel Gupta. That's what it was. It was Littlefinger's blade that Arya used to kill the Night King. Very, very cool. Oh, yes. So, wasn't it the cat's paw dagger, is what Pen Farm Girl says? Yes, it's the cat's paw. Okay. The dagger was originally from Tyrion, and he used it by Littlefinger to accuse Tyrion of trying to kill the little Starks. Okay, there we go. See, it all comes full circle around again. Everything from the first season comes back for the last season is what they're doing. Bran gave it to her. Oh, that's right. Bran did give it to her. I forgot about that. That was the thing that he had given her. Thank you, Tasugos. So yes, it all makes sense now. They didn't have that in the flashback. They should have just had that little flashback. But then we would have known how she was going to kill him. So that's true. They have known for 3 years that Arya was going to kill him. Thank you, Manuel Gupta. Manuel Gupta. Thank you. Sorry, I'm gonna murder people's names. I am notoriously known for murdering the crap out of names. So I do it all the time. I murder my own name too. So Sketchy Trail says Nymeria, only wolf left. Ah, yes. So yeah, that's a good point there, Slurmy Scott. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. Also hit the like button down below. If you don't like what you see, you can also hit the dislike button. I just asked you to go down in the comment section. Tell me, give some constructive criticism about what you didn't like. Also, if you're going to see when I'm going to be on live next, hit the bell. If you already hit the bell, don't hit it again. It will unclick it. You can go into the bell settings and add as much or as little as notifications as you want to see from me. If you want to know when I'm going to be on live next, I have a schedule up at suspendedfanimation.com that's going to be updated tomorrow. And it's also on my Facebook page for Suspended Fanimation. I have a Twitter and I also have an Instagram as well. And if you're still on the fence about joining up here, you can take a look at the little video that's going to be up in here. There's going to take one video from my video library. It's going to show that to you based on what you've been watching. And if you like what you see there, you can hit the subscribe button up here. So yes, Joker, it is a full house tonight. It was a hell of an episode. That's why. Manul Gupta says the direction, it was like a failed DC movie. You know what? I could actually see more of this movie than I could see for Justice League. Because Justice League looked like shit. That whole fight scene. And don't even get me started on Batman versus Superman, where, oh my God, you can't even see what the hell's going on in that movie. So, oh God. So Randy222 says there was a cameo of Uncle Benjen. Really? Oh, was he one of the dead? Yes. Randy says, I hit the bell, sir. Thank you very much. Where is Braun? That's a good question, Sketchy Trail. Where is Braun? Don't know where that's at. So Cywar Mobius says, my bad. Cat's paw was from Littlefinger. It was never owned by Tyrion. Okay. Penn Farm Girl says, I missed Walker Benjen, but there was someone I thought I should recognize. Yeah, they had someone that was sitting right in front of, God, who was it now? And I'm blanking on it. I know they did a close-up of one of the Walker's faces, and it was a flash of recognition on the character's face that they knew who the Walker was. I think it was Sam, actually. Oh, you know what it was? It was one of the Night Watch. It was one of the people that he was with in the Night Watch. And God, I can't remember who it was now. Because I know Sam saw the Walker. It was actually the Walker that killed Ghost. Is what it was. Yeah. Manoj Gupta says the other brother gets to kill Cersei. Hopefully. Battle Marcus says, I need to go. I need to wake up in 3 hours. Good night, everyone. Good night, Battle Marcus. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I know it's late for you guys on the East Coast. For me, it's still early. That's why I'm taking a look at the East Coast feed and try and get it to you as soon as possible. What happens in the crypts? What happens in the crypt stays in the crypts. Matus Lewandowski. Thank you. There we go. Now the dead come to life and burst through stone for some reason, or in concrete, because somehow they gain superpowers. And they kill a lot of people. If the Starks and the Crypts are buried with iron so they do not resurrect, how do they resurrect? Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe the iron didn't work and it was supposed to be dragon glass. Penn Farm Girl says, I need to watch again on the computer. I have an old TV with an old-fashioned resolution. Yeah, Sketchy Trail says, Sansa's never killed anyone. My bet is to kill Cersei. I don't know if that's going to be her or not. It would be kind of fitting. But, yeah, I don't know. Viking Mitch says, I was watching on the computer and couldn't see shit, Pen. Yeah. All prophecies are fulfilled on Game of Thrones. Where did Arya jump from? Nobody noticing even a single sound cue. She was actually fairly quiet. She was very ninja-like. Kapil Mangtani. Again, like I said, I'm going to murder people's names. Yeah, I don't know. Like she came out of the trees or something. I really don't know where she came from. I mean, she just really kind of like, ninja attack. Wah! It was like a cat, quite honestly. If you ever seen a cat kind of jump out of nowhere, that's really what it was. She had to have been wearing a walker mask. There's no way she could have gotten through that walker horde without wearing a mask. So, yeah. But I mean, did she rip the mask off before she made the lunge? That was the other thing. Because I mean, yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? So, with that said, Just Jane says I was annoyed at the fact that they didn't know the Night King was after Bran. Why didn't everyone just hide and wait for the Night King near Bran? Yeah, the thing is they're in a castle. That was the thing that got me. Is you're in a castle, create, dig some moats and stuff like that. Make a lot of them so you can actually fill them with fire and all that kind of stuff. He's coming after Bran. We already knew this. Make sure when you're hiding people down in the crypt, because the Night King is bringing the dead back to life, you move the dead out of the crypt if the crypt is going to be the safest place for people to hide. And you fortify all that stuff. You fortify the castle so that when the dead are coming, you're basically just fighting them right there. They said they didn't have any of the wildfire. Yeah, the wildfire was all gone. That's over in King's Landing. Of course, whatever's left is in King's Landing. So, yeah. And yeah, the Dothraki just, that was just a waste. It was just a waste of the Dothraki and the Unsullied. They just kind of, they kind of just got rid of them. That's all they did. They sacrificed them. So, yeah, exactly, Joker. She has no army. Cersei used all the wildfire destroying her enemies. Didn't they say there was still some left? There was a little bit left. Not a lot, but just enough to use. But yeah, the Dothraki sacrifice was just stupid. Hey, let's just have them ride out in there with their flaming knives, and we're going to see how many walkers are out there. So, yeah. That part was the part that just bothered me. Reese Orderson says, did Jon Snow's dragon really die? I couldn't see properly. It crash landed, so I don't know if it died or not. It might have. Just Jane says, Don Snow should have been with Bran the whole time, and everyone that has a chance to kill the night. Well, see, Jon was the only one that could actually ride the other dragon, so that's why Jon had to be on the dragon and not with Bran. So it all worked out in the end, except they don't have an army anymore. Yeah, exactly, Randy. They should have had spikes pointing down the walls. Spikes made of dragon glass. They had all those little daggers of dragon glass. They could have easily made some stuff. Yeah, it just, I don't understand. There's a lot of things that were wrong. Cywar Moby says, if it didn't die, the logical thing would have been to be eaten or stabbed to death. Yeah. Slummy Scott says, I still think Jon and Dany get married and roll together. Yes, I know. She is his aunt. They will figure a way around that. Yeah, they made stuff with dragon glass. Yeah, they did make stuff with dragon glass. They could have easily made some fortifications. And I mean, even when we were seeing the walkers trying to get past the defenses on the trench those defenses were actually lined with dragon glass. So every time they kept moving past them, you'd see it like light up in flame. And that was because it was lined with dragon glass. So I was like, why didn't you do that for around the whole castle and then kind of stay inside the castle walls, and try and take it down that way? But I don't know. Who am I to justify ancient military history on that one? Or military theory, I guess you could say. Maybe John was always meant to sit on the throne. Well, yeah, we had that Jenny's song that was last episode that supposedly kind of foretells all of this. Yeah. Sketchy Trail says Dragonfire didn't destroy the Night King. Surprised Valerian Steel did. Yeah, they were kind of fast and loose with what was going to kill him. I didn't know if it was going to be a combination of things or if it was just going to be some bad breath or what it was going to be. But the Valerian Steel, I was like, all right, sure. Theon should have played more Dark Souls than Neo. Yeah, you don't run at the big bad, man. It just doesn't work. You don't do it head on. Yeah, the ending was rushed. Well, they had, I mean, again, it was a shortened episodes combined with they knew that they had to stretch these things out into hour and a half long movies. The last the last 4 episodes. So yeah, that's what they were doing. Reese Orderson says, "Who is the next Night King?" That's a good question. Maybe John's the next Night King. After all, he was dead and brought back. So maybe that's it. Viking bitch says, dead are all gone. There won't be another king. You never know. What's in the next 3 episodes now? Cersei attacking the north or vice versa? Pen Farm Girl says, oh, duh, I must be tired. Melisandre told Arya to kill someone with blue eyes. Man, I'm slow tonight. Yeah. Well, it wasn't rushed. It's how things go in a poof, or I should say a finger snap. Okay, got it. Yeah, and the children of the forest are gone. Yes. Bran might be the next Night King. Same storyline like in the Pirates of the Caribbean. What do you think? Bran could be the next Night King, but he is the one that is the keeper of the memories now. So he can't really be the Night King. I'm thinking it's going to be Jon, to tell you the truth. Yeah, and Bran's got to fucking explain what the hell he was doing. Why he had, the white eye stuff going on there. He really needs to explain what he was doing that entire time. Euron is the next Night King. It's up for grabs now at this point. How can Jon be the Night King, Justine? Because he came back from the dead. He was brought back from the dead. We don't know how he was brought back from the dead and what the deal was with him coming back. So that's what I'm saying. There's got to be something in there that the red woman didn't mention. So yeah, it is getting late, Viking bitch. So like I said before, take a look at the videos up here. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button over here. I want to let you guys go for the evening. Thank you all for joining me in the chat. It was a lot of fun. Tomorrow is going to be The Tick, Season 2. Wednesdays is Happy. Thursdays is iZombie. That's right. It's the beginning of iZombie. Fridays is Doom Patrol. Saturday is Saturday Morning Blast Off. If you haven't joined us in that, it's a lot of fun. It's where I take the genre news of the week, kind of go over it, and any other genre stuff you guys want to talk about at the time. And of course, Sundays is Game of Thrones. And thank you, Capel Mingtani. Says great job. Thank you, guys. Again, video, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may get attacked from behind suddenly by a cat like Arya jumping out of the trees and maybe stabbing you with some Valerian steel. Good night, everybody.